Good morning and welcome to S. Tyler Real Estate Cooperative. The purpose of this cooperative is to bring people together, industry professionals, neighbors, friends, co-workers, whoever, to talk about all things real estate. Anything about the home buying process, home selling, and things that impact our community as well. Because when we buy and sell real estate, that impacts our community. So we talk about all things real estate. My mission is to help more people become home buyers through education and through advocacy. So this presentation is actually geared towards first-time home buyers, military professionals, and anybody that's relocating. So if you know me, you know my story. You know that I'm here from Chicago. I've been here almost for 7 years. It'll be 7 years in June. And when I came to Las Vegas, I didn't know anything about it except the Strip, right? And so I want to be that person that can show people that there's more to Las Vegas than the Strip. Not that the Strip isn't amazing, but there are communities out here just for you. So today, our topic is going to be on relationships. We're going to talk about all things relationships as they impact us in our daily goings and comings. And we have a special guest speaker today. Her name is Belinda Anderson. She is our social contributor. And so she's going to talk to us a little bit about our relationships. And then we will follow that up with the home buying process and all of the people who are in that relationship, in those relationships with us as we transgress through it. All right, so buckle in. If you, this is an open forum, so if you have questions, just raise your hand, please participate, and I look forward to having a great time with you. All right, so this is actually a little bit about myself, my education experience and expertise. I've been in the industry since 1999. First time I got my real estate license. And actually, just to go a little bit before that, my very first job was in real estate when I was 15 years old. First job, I was an assistant to a realtor who was absolutely amazing. And she left a lasting impression on me. Realtors are actually amazing people. So I'm just saying. And and so I feel like that was my calling. So I got my first license in 1999. And I've been in the industry ever since. I've done everything from banking. I've been an appraiser. And then I'm a forever student. I have a friend who calls me, what's her phrase for me? A lifetime student, because I'm forever in somebody's classroom. But if I'm not learning something new, then I don't have anything new to share with you, right? And that's how I build my expertise. I learn through formal education and also from my peers. And that's why I surround myself with people who are like-minded and who are determined to bring education as well. All right, and all right, so the company that I'm with is Select Properties Group. We are a boutique style firm. We have 2 offices here in the greater Las Vegas area, one in Summerlin and one here in Henderson, which is where we are streaming from now, the Henderson location. And that's a picture of the conference room, so you can kind of get a bird's eye view of the people here. There are 2 brokers that run this office, Aaron Baxson and Steve Camargo. This is the only real estate firm in the Las Vegas area that's run by 2 brokers. So when we talk about relationships, that's important, right? Even that relationship, having a broker that's supportive. We don't have quotas here. There's nobody pressuring me saying, you got to sell these many houses a month and you have to pay all these fees. And without that pressure, I am allowed to cater my service to meet your unique needs, right? Because everybody's situation is different. So I have time to build that relationship with you and make sure that I'm meeting your expectations in the process. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about Consciously Fit and Focused. This is actually a fitness group I started on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, definitely look it up. hashtag consciously fit and focused, and join us. As I mentioned in one of our previous calls, I actually started this because I had high blood pressure. I needed to bring it down a bit, but I needed accountability partners, right? And I built relationships with people online who could be my accountability partners. Now I have more than 200 people who support me and cheer me on, and I do the same thing for them. Everybody has their own unique challenges that they're dealing with, and so we share tips and motivate each other and talk about all things self-care. So if you're interested in that, check us out and yeah, join the fun. As a thank you for attending S. Tyler Real Estate Cooperative, I like to offer a gift. And that's just me. I just like doing that. I love shopping for one, so it gives me a reason to, to hit the stores. And so here are our previous winners. We had Miss Linda Jones. She was our February winner. And then Angela Jackson, she was our January winner. And the way that goes is if you registered at least the night before, your name goes into the drawing. And Linda, she will actually pull a name. If you are local, you get the actual gift. So she was local, so she got to receive 64 storage bowls. But Angela was chiming in from Chicago, and so she got a gift card for $25. So they were very happy. They took pictures, and so here they are. And at the very end, your name could be pulled. You do have to be present to receive the gift. All right, and Gary, can you see that person trying to get in? Thanks. Okay, so Belinda Anderson, she is our social contributor for our call today. And because we are talking about relationships, I thought it was really important to have her on. So just let me give you a little bit of background. So Belinda and I, we go way back. We've been friends for years. And we talk about everything. Like, she's my friend. We talk about everything. And of course, we talk about relationships. And some of the things that she talks about, and we're talking personal relationships, everything that she says, I'm saying, that sounds like real estate. That sounds like real estate. Maybe, maybe it's just me, but everything ties into real estate. So what I did was I invited her to come and chime in today and just give us a few tips about relationships. So Belinda, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Belinda Anderson. I am a longtime member of the Apostolic Church of God, located at 6320 South Dorchester Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. I am a member of the Baptismal and Singles Ministry. I'm a longtime friend of Satira, as she mentioned, and I am here to give you a few tips about relationships and moving in together. Moving in together means there will be a lot to discuss, new things to learn about each other. Make sure your relationship is ready for this big step. You will be spending lots of time with each other. You will have to plan for sharing expenses. Can you deal with your partner being messy? Figure out where you're going to live, whether it's in the city, suburbs, and/or country. Talk about who's going to pay what, or will you guys split everything? Expect some bumps along the way when you have conflict in your relationship, but focus on the positive, what's going well. Always, always communicate, talk about everything. Good, bad, your likes and dislikes. Above all, have fun together with each other. Think of exciting things to do together, whether it is going to the movies, dinner, bowling, or just having a quiet moment alone at home. These 10 steps and words of wisdom I've gathered from members of my ministry and from my own experience. It's been my pleasure to share this with you, and I pray for you all to have a healthy relationship. Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Belinda.
You're welcome.
Okay, so a few things that I got from that. The first thing was communication. All of that,
Yes.
all those 10 points surround around relationships, right? Or communication.
Yes.
Talking about your strategies, what your intentions are, and actually seeing if people are clean or not. When you said that, that really struck a nerve because and so then that brings in conflict resolution, right? How do you resolve issues in relationships so that you can keep going in a positive way? Another important thing that you talked about or kind of alluded to was, financial goals. And that's what I took. Because when you go into something together, right, you have to be on the same page. If you, whether it is your life partner, if it's a roommate or a spouse or your child or whomever, you all have to be on the same page. You buy a house or you lease a property. What is the exit strategy? What are you going to do when this is over, with the property? So all good stuff. So I wanted to take a quick moment to talk, just to dig into that a little bit more about who we build relationships with, right? So I have up here on the whiteboard the who. And Tasha, would you like to be a scribe and just, do you have me handwriting? Yeah. Okay. So let's just chime in and talk about the who's, right? Who do we build relationships with? And the first thing I'm going to throw out there is the HOA. Because I'm always thinking real estate. And I hear people saying, I don't want to live in an HOA, right? So who else do you build relationships with? And just shout it out. Clients. What about your medical professional? Especially when they're talking about prescribing medicine or they want to cut on something, right? You got to have a good relationship before you let somebody start doing anything to your body, right? What about your fitness coach? Tasha here, she's into fitness.
Any vendor you're dealing with.
Vendors. All right, and how many do we have? Let's just get a couple more up there. What about your neighbor? What about your neighbor? The person next door.
This is Vegas. That's a funny question.
You know what? That was actually a shocker to me moving here because I felt like I stalked my neighbor next door just to get to know her. Whereas in Chicago, you're not going to move on the block and not know, right? People, they're going to make themselves known. All right. Anybody else? The clerk at the gas station. Anybody who provides customer service. All right. So let's go over to the next column real quick and talk about the what's, right? What is it that makes the relationship healthy? So we already talked about communication. Integrity. Oh my gosh, yes. Be a person of your word, right? Be honest. What else is important? You guys have relationships. Come on now.
Compassion.
Compassion and understanding, right? And then so many people are going through so much right now. The social pandemic has hit us all in some way, some form or fashion, whether it's physically, whether it's financially, everybody's been impacted, right? So we got to have compassion for one another. Anybody else? Anything else?
You have to give value.
Bring value. So you're not into just empty relationships, right? It got to be something meaningful, right? Okay. I think that's a good start. Thank you so much, Tasha, for doing that. I kind of put her on the spot. She came in like, what? But she was the closest to the board. Thank you for doing that. All right, so I thought that was important, just because, again, we are all here in a community. A cooperative brings people together. This is what this is, a cooperative. And I want to have relationships with each and every one of you, right? And so we need to know what's important to each other. What makes the relationships tick? So in the chat box, you'll notice that I put a few PDFs in there, just information for you, just reference people in the room, they have it on the table. But one of those things, I got it from Driggs Title Agency. It's commonly used entities. So I'm bringing this whole relationship conversation back to real estate. So you don't have to be legally married to buy real estate together or to go into a lease together or do anything together, right? And so while you do have to, a lot of times people are more focused on the emotional side of it. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Oh, I like you so much. Let's live together. And don't think about, the whole big picture of what it means living together. And so while I want to help you buy a home, and I'm happy to help you sell your home, it would be nice if it didn't have to be because you're in distress, right? Because you guys are not getting along financially, or, that person is too messy. I'm going to keep coming back to this. All right. All right. And then also in the chat box, just while I'm talking about it, I put a few other resources in there, which is a Las Vegas map. I have a few properties in there that are for sale. The Las Vegas map is because people are usually shopping for properties by zip code. And so sometimes they'll, tell me, they'll, give me these points when it could be a little bit more efficient if we look at a map. So that's just for your reference. All right, and so this is that commonly used entities that I was just talking about. All right, so I am going to jump right into the meat of homeownership. So this is the buyer's map to homeownership. It is laid out in 6 easy steps. And we're going to talk about those relationships, even though it's 6 steps, but who are all these people who are playing a part in this process? So the very first step is to meet with a realtor. We are members of the national, state and local real estate associations. We're bound by a code of ethics. And this is something that protects you, it protects the community, it protects my profession. So this is actually a great benefit to you. And you can also start with your lender. The lender is actually the second person in the process. Here we go. So once you meet with a realtor and you have your free consultation, talk about what your goals are, what it is you're looking to do. We discuss a strategy, how to help you reach your goals. Then you go ahead and you talk with a lender. If you know a lender that you're already comfortable with, that's amazing. Use your lender. I have lenders that I work with. I usually pair with people who are like-minded, who are geared towards helping people and not just goal-oriented with helping their pockets, right? So that's something that's really important to me. And whenever I refer lenders, I try to refer more than one because I know how important relationships are. So just because I like a certain person and we work well together, it does not mean that when you pick up the phone and talk to them, you're going to have that same vibe, right? So that could be different. So you have an opportunity to interview all of the referrals that I send to you and decide who you would have the best relationship with and would want to work with. So you're going to get pre-approved by your lender. You'll fill out a loan application. You're going to submit documentation that supports your application. Okay, so the lender will ask you for proof of your income, proof of residence, and you may have to provide your pay stubs, W-2s, 1099s, bank statements. If you've been divorced, you may have to provide your divorce decree. And if you are military, you do have to have your DD 214 in order to request your certificate of eligibility. Okay, so just want to let folks know that up front. And once you get your pre-approval, so what happens a lot of times, because we are in the internet, age, everybody can be resourceful and do things on their own. So a lot of times by the time people come to talk to me, they've already been shopping online. They've already been looking at homes, which is great. But I do want to forewarn you that if you have not been pre-approved for a home and you're out shopping, then you're technically window shopping, right? Because you don't even know what your budget is. You don't know how much of a home you can afford. And to me, it makes sense to figure that out ahead of time. So then that way you're not disappointed. That way you're not out looking at $1 million homes. You meet with the lender, find out you're only eligible for $500,000, right? That's a big difference in your budget, right? And so that can lead to disappointment. That can lead to miscommunication. You meet with the lender and then you get mad with them right away because you're like, I should be able to get more. But the thing is that there are laws that protect you, and no lender is going to put you in a position to be house poor, right? You don't want to be in that position, for one. So of course you should be glad that you're working with a lender that is going to look out for your best interest. Now, Kevin,
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
No problem.
All right, you are a lender, right?
Yes. Yes, I am. I'm with Supreme Lending.
All right, awesome. And do you have a certain market that you cater to?
Specifically me, since I'm bilingual, I usually try to cater to more Spanish-speaking clients. As I originally moved from Florida about 6 or 7 months ago, and into our new branch here in Las Vegas. Since I've been here, all the Spanish clients that have come through have had no one to speak to. It's a really undermarketed community, underserviced, and I'd love to help out.
That's awesome. I know.
Yes.
So I love that you like building relationships with people who you feel are underserved.
Correct.
So already we have something, right, in common. Like, I love that, right? I think that a lot of people don't become homeowners just because they don't know. They don't know steps. They don't know how to do it. And so they need an advocate. They need people to come in and help guide them through the process. All right, so while we're talking about getting pre-approvals, is there anything you want to talk about in terms of the pre-approval process? Anything that you guys do that's different? Anything that you want to share?
So you kind of nailed it in the head with getting all the documentation before you start shopping. That's huge, especially on closing timelines. For us personally, I love to get as many of the documents as we think possible. We have our processor look at all of our files before we even send out a pre-approval letter, just to make sure that we've received any sort of documentation and anything they may look at that might be an issue or maybe some more clarification. So we try to get that all out in the pre-approval phase of someone's loan application. So that way, once we get a pre-approval letter out, we know it's accurate. We know we've seen all of their documentation. Once they get an offer in, we love to call the listing agents, let them know, hey, we've seen everything. They've provided everything. It's ready to go to underwriting immediately and get a faster close.
That's right. And that's really important. So that roadmap that I showed on the previous screen that shows the home buying process in 6 steps, that actually can be done in 30 days, right? And it can be done in 30 days if we're all communicating and we're all having a great relationship, right? And we're all doing what we need to be doing on time. So when the lender asks for certain documentation, don't hem and haw about it. Just give them what they need. They're asking for it for a reason, right? They're not right? They're not just trying to get in your business. They're in everybody's business. It's their business to be in your business, right? Because
Yep.
you're asking them to loan you hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So, hello, get that extra bank statement if that's what they need.
Yep.
Right.
And that's huge. It's just getting everything in time. So that way we can keep the process going and not stumble or have to wait a few days to get documentation before we can issue a pre-approval. We send out our application link, gives us estimated numbers, and our system automatically asks that client to start uploading documents that the system thinks we might need, from bank statements to IDs, pay stubs, W-2s, taxes if they're self-employed, or 1099 if they're contracted. So a lot of that stuff is done up front at the application phase, and it makes everything go a lot smoother.
Awesome. Now, I do have a quick question to ask you. And, again, I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot, but do you know if there are
Yeah.
any concessions for people who have been impacted, whose employment has been impacted by COVID? So let's just say somebody has a gap in employment because they got laid off, for
Yeah, so a lot of the times what we'll ask when we're doing our verifications of employment, we'll ask the employer to send us a letter specifically stating why that gap took place. The company was shut down for X amount of months. This person did not lose their job. They were just on leave for that time. But we've been able to handle all that very smoothly. The main struggle we've had with trying to get letters like that is usually when they're casino employees. But we found out that they actually already have that letter in their portal, in their employment portal, that they can just print out and send it to us. So companies have adjusted to that, making it a lot easier to account for job gaps.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. So that's good to know. So
Yes.
if you all know someone whose employment has been impacted because of COVID, they do have a gap. There is still hope, right? Because some people feel like, maybe I cannot, because
Yeah, we've had people who didn't work about 90% of 2020 because of COVID, or some of 2021. We just show a little bit more on the back end, like say instead of 2021 and 2020 W-2s will ask for maybe 2019 or 2018, just to sort of reinforce that they've been in this employment. And then again, with the letter of verification of employment, letting the employer tell us why, and yes, they will continue to work here. And that reinforces the application in the underwriting phase.
awesome. All right. Awesome. All right. And then there are so many steps. There are over 200 steps and processes that take place behind the scenes that helps you get into your home ownership. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. But one last question for you. I just wanted to know, do you all charge for credit report, or is that included in the process?
So it
Or
is
is it
included. So I like to tell this to all the clients, we don't get paid unless we close your loan. You don't get charged anything until we close your loan. The only thing you pay during your process is for the appraisal, and that's it. Our credit reports, we run them prior to any closing. We run them at the application phase, but we do not charge it. That's a charge that we take on until your loan is closed.
Okay. All right. So my last little tidbit on getting approved by the lender and having that relationship is asking questions. Look how I just
Yes.
like this wasn't rehearsed, right? So
Nope.
ask them.
we get asked these questions all the time, and that's one of my favorite things about especially in the Hispanic community and the Spanish speaking, is they don't really know. No one's ever sat down and explained to them, hey, this is how you purchase a home. We need these documents because of X, Y, Z. And that's my favorite part about my job, is just educating people, because no one knew. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't know anything, and I had to learn it. And now, knowing the process well enough to explain that to somebody else, that they'll understand and not really fight you for any documents, or like you said, I'm trying to act in their best interest.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. All right, Kevin, you are amazing. Thank you so much for
you.
jumping in. This guy was ready this morning.
Yes.
All right. So something that sets me apart as a realtor is that I like to bring options to people. So Kevin, he does traditional mortgage financing. So you have to have, a 620 or higher credit score to work with him, most likely. But there are alternatives. So even if you cannot qualify for a traditional mortgage, I am also a TRIO preferred agent. TRIO is a third-party organization. They've been around since 2001. And what they do is they offer lease to own program, lease to own to people who cannot meet those guidelines. So they want to help you become a homeowner as well. Here's a quick snapshot of what their credit requirements are. Feel free to take a screenshot. And then these are the states that they serve. So when I first started working with TRIO, it was only 6 states, and look how they've grown, right? So take a shot there. And then also, I'm also a NACA referral agent. So if you, still, if TRIO is not an option for you, NACA is the Neighborhood Association Corporation of America. They're a nonprofit, and they also help people become homeowners. They actually will pay your down payment and closing costs. The process can be a little bit longer. It is a program with, volunteers, but I'm more than happy to help you with that process as well. All right, so I am going to pause for just a moment to see if anybody has any questions, right? Any questions, any comments, anything about meeting with the realtor and meeting with the lender.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Linda Daniel, and I just went through the process, but unfortunately I didn't qualify because my income debt ratio was too high. But I did apply for TRIO. TRIO has not called me back with no information. So I just want to move forward to see if I can get a home with NACA, or if there's any other option. Even though I do have a high debt ratio, that doesn't mean I can't afford to pay for rent. I mean, a rental property or purchase a home. I probably won't get the loan, but I have 2 jobs and I've been on my job substantially enough amount of time. I was told that I had been on the other job for 2 years, but I did 4 years of contract. Then I went permanent too. But the other job I was, past the 2-year mark. So I'm just like wanting to get more information because I'm not going to give up to see if I can qualify to purchase or rent a property.
I love your spirit, Linda. Did you hear what she said? I'm not going to give up, right? Where there is a will, there is a way. All right. So in terms of TRIO, let's push the envelope with them a little bit harder just to see what is the bottleneck with them. It could be they have a lot of people in the pipeline, that they need additional documentation. I'm not sure, but let's follow up with them. And then, yes, I can send you more information about NACA. In the meantime, you can visit NACA.com just to read more information about that, just to make yourself more familiar with the program. And then the other option would be Habitat for Humanity. So that's also, a program that's out there. Now with Habitat for Humanity, they actually have volunteers. You are one of the volunteers and you go out and actually help put your home together. So I've actually volunteered with them before, and I can actually use a drill, and you'll find out that you can actually use a drill too, right? So there are options, and yes, we will work on that. And then if the last option is a rental, then we'll work on the rental until we can build you up to get you into your home.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, Linda. It's my pleasure. All right, anybody else? All right, good. All right, so as I mentioned, there are over 200 processes that are taking place behind the scenes. And for me, effective communication is key. All right, so just blurt it out. What is the best form of communication for you? How do you prefer to communicate?
Telephone call.
Telephone call, phone call,
Internet.
In person.
in person. Okay. And what'd you say, Linda?
Email.
It was in person.
Email. Okay, so Linda said email. Anybody else?
Phone calls.
Phone calls. Anybody else?
Texting.
Texting. I was waiting for that one. All right, so awesome. So we all have different ways that we prefer to communicate. So one of the things that we do when we enter a relationship, especially one that requires so much communication, is we let people know the best way to reach me, call me and call me on this number, not my work number, not, right? This is how you reach me. And so me personally, I prefer a phone call just because I feel like the message sometimes can get distorted in a text or in an email. Sometimes people misunderstand, or they don't even, the urgency of it is not conveyed, right? So I like to pick up the phone and say, hey, I sent you an email, but I need you to know, I need you to do this right now, right? So that's kind of how I communicate. I'm not a texter, but as a professional and working with people who prefer to text, I have to acquiesce, right? I have to text. So I do all of it. And I even do virtual meetings, right? Because now we're in, this space where, we have FaceTime, we got Zoom, and what else is there? How else do we communicate? FaceTime, Zoom, Skype. Is Skype still doing? Still active? Skype. Okay, Skype. Okay, so we have all these different ways to communicate, and so we talk about that up front. Now, the third step of the process is your home search. And some things to come prepared with when you meet with your realtor is already knowing what it is you want, right? Because, dang, I didn't bring my crystal ball today, but but we need to know what it is you want, right? How do you plan to use the space that you're going to live in? How long are you going to live in that space, right? Is this going to be your forever home? Or are you just going to live here for a few years and then you're going to move on because you have plans, someplace else in another state, or you're going to leave it to your children? So these are things to come, prepared to talk about. Knowing what community you want to live in, right? And that's why I gave you the zip code map. So you kind of get an idea, you know what, I'd rather live in this part of Las Vegas. Distance to work, I always like to talk about that just because that has changed so much. So many people are working from home right now. So we don't even have to make that determination anymore of, oh, I only want to be 10 minutes from my job. Because most of us, we're working from laptops. But how close do you want to be to your children's school? That's another thing. They're back and forth from being in-person classroom teaching to virtual, and even to your medical professionals, right? Because, people have medical needs, they need quick access. So those are some things I wanted to highlight from that list. But then also knowing for yourself and discussing with your realtor, what are the things that are the non-negotiables? I absolutely have to have, how many bedrooms? 3, 4, right? I gotta have it.
At least 3.
Yeah, I have to have a space for my garden, right? I have to have a space for my office. And does that mean an extra bedroom? Does that mean a den, or I got to have a loft? So these are the things that are the non-negotiables. But also come into the relationship knowing that everything on your list may not get accomplished, right? And that's part of that communication. And we're talking about that now, and we'll talk about that at the consultation, right? Right now, well, before I get to that, I was getting ready to jump to the next slide already. But behind the scenes, your lender has a team of folks working on your behalf. There's a processor, an underwriter, there is an appraiser. The appraiser technically does not work for the lender. They're an independent third party, but they're contracted by the lender, okay? You pay the lender, you pay the appraiser, that comes out of your pocket, but the lender is the one that orchestrates that. But at any rate, you have a closer, you have a fulfillment center manager, somebody who's, managing all of those people. Most likely your file is going through quality assurance because there are federal, state, and local laws about lending that have to be in compliance. And then any number of those people can have an assistant working for them. It depends on their volume or what have you. And then even as your realtor, I have people behind the scenes working for me. I have a transaction coordinator who helps me facilitate the process. We go through quality assurance here as well. I have you guys sign contracts and disclosures, and we get reviewed. And then my brokers, Aaron and Steve, they're heavily involved in the process. And technically, when you enter into an agreement with me, you're really entering that agreement with them, with the broker, right? And so once you get your pre-approval, now you have homework to do because you have people that you have to engage also. So you're going to need homeowners insurance. Anytime you're getting financed for a mortgage, you have to have homeowners insurance. And even if you're not getting financed, why wouldn't you want homeowners insurance? Anybody give me one good reason? Crickets. That's what I thought, right? We need homeowners insurance. If you're living in a flood zone, you're going to need flood insurance, home warranty representative, home warranty. So that's always optional. People, can decide if they want to do it or not. And I don't push it one way or the other. It just depends on your comfort level. But home warranties, they cover different components within the property, like appliances and, the furnace and things like that. And that's all negotiable. But you have the home inspector. Now, some people want to, especially in this market, some people want to waive the home inspection. I don't encourage that. I will never advise you to waive the home inspection. The home inspector, they'll come into the property and they will check that house from the roof to the foundation, from the front to the back, side to side. Okay. They will check that house out and they will give you a detailed report letting you know what's wrong and what's right in that property. Why wouldn't you want to know what you're buying? Right. So I encourage you to have a home inspection done. So you'll have a home inspector and you'll get to meet them. I'll refer home inspectors to you, and the guys that I work with, they will have you meet them at the property and they will review it with you, right? Communication, right? They're going to talk to you about what's in the report, and then they're going to hand you a report. Or, I'm sorry, they're going to email you a report because everything is digital, right? So they're going to email you the report so you can have it for your records, right? And then if you are using a VA financing, you may have to get a termite inspection. So you'll have an inspector for that. You're going to need an escrow officer. You're going to need a wealth advisor, even an estate and wealth advisor. So even after you've closed on your home, you still need to talk to people who can tell you how to set up your will, how to do a trust, how to do mortgage protection, how to, what else? What am I missing? Set up for your financial future, save for your children's education, right? You still need those people. It sounds like a lot, but I want you to know for your homework, I actually have a cheat sheet. So I have references for all of these. Even if you need a professional, an attorney, to back you up. Sometimes people get into legal situations and, they need an attorney. I even got a guy. See, I got a guy. And even if I don't have a guy, I got a guy who got a guy, right? I know somebody. All right. So, so your homework, while your list is longer, I'll help you get through that, right? All right. So where I was going to jump the gun at a little bit, we are in uncertain times. I'll put it that way. A lot is happening and people are waiting for this bubble to burst and, these bargain basement homes to hit the market. And so they're looking for the short sales, they're looking for foreclosed sales and other opportunities to save some money on their purchase. So I just like to talk about other forms of distressed properties. Everything isn't going to be a short sale. Everything isn't going to be a foreclosure, but you do have physically distressed properties. Here and across the US, we had the eviction moratorium. We had tenants staying in properties who would not budge. And if they were not paying their rent, chances are they were not taking care of the property, right? And when they finally did vacate the property or do vacate the property, there could be any forms of physical distress. So as a buyer, be prepared to go in ready to paint, ready to pull up the carpet and replace the flooring, ready to change the cabinets and customize the property to make it fit your needs. Some people actually have to relocate too. And we talked about this last month. You know, people moved to Las Vegas to start off a new life, and, you know, COVID happened, everything happened, and they had to go back home, you know, wherever that home is. And most of us are from someplace else. I know Rodrigo is from here. Anybody else from Las Vegas? Exactly. So something happens, then you may have to go back home, right? So that's an opportunity also for a distress sale. And so all I'm saying is just be ready to build even more relationships. So one thing, whether it's a distress sale or not, I even recommend having a locksmith. That's just me. I'm moving to a new home. I'm changing the locks and the toilet seats, right? Everything else, and that's on day one. But you're going to need a locksmith. You may need a cleaning service. It just depends on, you know, what the condition of the property is. And then handyman, landscapers. If you're buying a house that has a pool or a spa, you may need a contractor for that. But guess what? I got a cheat sheet for that too. All right. So I can help you get through with that. I just want you to be prepared though, and know that it's going to take a team. It's going to take relationships, right? It's going to take a community or cooperative for us to come together to help you get into the property that you really want to be in. All right, so the fourth step in the process is to make an offer to the seller. Okay, so we've been out shopping for homes. You fell in love. Debbie got her 2-story with her pool. She could swim laps in her backyard now. That's the dream. So you fall in love with the home. We review what the seller is looking for, what's included in the property, and then we make an offer on the property, and then we have to negotiate. Okay, so come into it with the mindset that we're negotiating, because now we're communicating with the seller, and it's usually all written through the offer, right? Because it's an offer, it's not a contract until everybody's signed and everybody has been notified. But now we're communicating with them saying, hey, you know, I want to buy your house, I want to offer you this, and these are my conditions, right? And so we communicate back and forth. The flip side of that would be going into it with the mindset that I want this, I want this, I want this, and your house it needs to be painted. So I want you to paint it. I want you to do this. This is not that market, right? We're in a seller's market, and it's really competitive. And so we got to be careful about what we're asking for, what we are negotiating for. But we want to be clear in our communications, okay? The fifth step in the process is to satisfy those underwriter conditions. And so this goes back to the lender. So now that we have found the home that you want, and you have submitted an offer on it, and let's just say it has been accepted. So one of three things can happen with your offer. Either they could counter the offer, which is not going to happen in this market because it is a seller's market. They're getting 10 and 20 offers at one time, so they have no need to counter yours. So we're not going to even go that route. They can outright decline your offer if they're not interested, or they can accept it. Okay, so if they accept your offer, everybody has received the communication that we have an accepted offer. Now it goes back to your lender, who works with the underwriter. And so now they're under the gun to try to help us meet that 30-day contingency, right, Kevin? So, yep. Right, so now the processor is engaged, you know, they're sending you documents. And even though I listed all of those people who are working behind the scenes, the only people who you may be in direct communication with would be your realtor, your lender, and maybe the processor. Maybe the processor. Sometimes the processor will reach out to you directly and ask for something, and then the transaction coordinator, you know, asking you for documents. But all these other people, the underwriter, you'll never talk to the underwriter. They're like this mysterious person off in the abyss in this hidden dark room, making these decisions, saying yes or no, right? That's the perception that we have of the underwriter. But actually, they're our best friends because they're the ones that make it happen for us. So When you satisfy those contingencies, here are some, an example of some of those contingencies that may require that you have your employment verified again, right? You're going to do that up front, and you do it again right before you close, because they got to make sure you didn't change jobs. Don't change your job right before you close. Don't go using your credit cards. Once you got that pre-approval, don't take your credit card like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, buy furniture for the loft. No, not yet. Wait until the ink dries on your contract, right? On your closing documents, and then you can go out and shop. So they're going to go back and they're going to check your employment, your income, and just to make sure everything is just the way it was, if not better than when you originally applied. They are going to make sure you have homeowners insurance in place, right? They're going to ask for that. If you need flood insurance, they're going to ask for that flood insurance. If you said you were, nope, never mind. I was going to say, if you said you're going to get a home warranty, they would check that, but that's actually the escrow officer who will check to make sure that your warranty is in place. But all of these other things are going to make sure you've actually gotten these things done, and then they will give you the final approval and say, hey, you're good to go. We can set up the time to meet with your escrow officer so you can sign your documents to become a homeowner. And then you get to do your final walkthrough, right? You can walk through the property. That's usually the day before you close, just to make sure that that china cabinet that was in the dining room really isn't hiding a big gaping hole, right? That leads to the garage, right? That you can't just walk the wall. So we get to do a final walkthrough, and the home is almost yours, not quite. So you'll get to meet your escrow officer at the closing. This is the day that you agree to go in and sign your documents. And for the most part, the escrow officer is going to be another, mysterious person that you only communicate with through email. But guess what? This is going to be the person who you wire your money to. I know that on the slide, it says that you'll have to bring a certified check to the closing, but that's actually outdated. Everything is done by wire, right? These days. So you do have to wire monies back and forth. Fraud is a huge thing in the industry, and fraud, period, in any industry, if we're being honest with each other. But in real estate, we're transferring thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And so, so what I do want to caution you on is to make sure, verify with your escrow officer that you are sending the funds to the right place, because you don't want your money to come up missing and to be off in, Ethiopia or somewhere, I don't know. And, right, you're financing somebody else's family now. So you're going to bring 2 pieces of ID. That's always important. Everybody who is purchasing the property has to be present, unless you made some other arrangement with the title company. But everybody does need to be present. And yeah, so here in the state of Nevada, you don't become the homeowner until the transaction actually records. And so that was something that was different that I didn't know coming from the Midwest. In the Midwest, you get your keys the same day you close. You sign your documents, and while you're sitting there at the table, they shake your hand and they give you the keys. And when we closed, they gave us the keys to our house, and then our moving truck was in the parking lot, and we just got in the moving truck, and we had already moved out of our apartment. We were ready. But here, it's different. You have to wait until it's been recorded. And so you're going to rely on that communication from your realtor and your escrow officer to let you know when it's been recorded. And it usually takes 1 business day. So it's not, a really long time. Depending on the title company that we use, it can be done the same day, but just count on the next day. So I don't want you showing up with your moving truck and you can't get in until the next day. Now you got to sleep in the moving truck, overnight until you can get your keys the next day, right? All right, so so those were the 6 steps. Did anybody have any questions about anything, the steps to homeownership, the relationships that it takes to, make this a positive experience for you? Any questions? Hey, Gary, go for it.
What if, since this is a seller's market, what if the seller plays games in escrow?
Like what?
Like, hey, Satira, I like your offer. I won't close unless you give me 5,000 more in price.
Oh, that's happening every day. That actually is happening every day. Sellers are asking for people to waive the appraisal contingency. So they're asking people up front, even though, you know, I have my property listed at this amount, let's say $400,000. But if we look at the comparables, we know it's really only worth $350,000. And they'll let you know, I'm expecting you to pay the difference, that $50,000 difference. So it's up to the buyer to agree to that or not. If you got 50 large, then go for it, you know, but if not, then we move on. So yeah, that was a really good question. That's happening every day. Any other questions? All right, you guys are a really good crowd. I love this. All right, so a cooperative involves mutual assistance and working towards a common goal. So one of the things that I like doing is supporting other small businesses. You know, if you are a small business owner and you are passionate about helping other people, even if you're a restaurateur, you know, and you're just passionate about feeding people, like I'm passionate about eating, so tell me about it, right? So let's cooperate. So this is an opportunity for you have 1 minute to tell us your name, what your business is, and what it is you can do to help other people. And so Gary, your light is still on. Did you want to go?
Sure. Excuse me. My name's Gary Forsch. I'm a independent associate and director in Legal Shield. And what we would do is tell you what your rights are in your real estate transactions for a small subscription fee versus you having a lawyer pick up the phone for $500 and not answer your questions.
Very, very well said. Yes. Very well said. And I see you have your contact information up there. So thank you for sharing that. Also, if you want to put it in the chat, you can do that as well. So I can keep a record too. So put your contact information out there. If you need Gary, reach out to him. Anybody in the room want to give your 1 minute elevator pitch about what it is you do? Go ahead.
Yeah, so they can hear me. So my name is Rodrigo Quintana.
Can you hear him?
Yes.
Okay, they can hear me.
Perfect. I am a certified financial planner with Ameriprise. And pretty much what we do is we help our clients with investment management, retirement planning, or help setting up kids' education plans. And, you know, like one of the things you mentioned is work with a wealth advisor. You know, in our communities, we're very underserviced, you know, and that's kind of, you know, I would say like my big passion. You know, giving back.
Awesome. Awesome. We got all these educators in here, right? All right. Kevin.
Yes. One more time. Sorry. I was reading the chat, Gary's information.
Your name, business, and what it is you could do to help people in the cooperative.
So my name is Kevin Cardozo. I work for Supreme Lending. And one of the things that I love doing about home loans is you're helping somebody with their biggest financial decision. Like you said earlier, at the very beginning, you're not looking for somebody who's willing to fill their pockets at the expense of other people. And that's one thing I love to tell people. It's, listen, I'm not here to screw you over. I'm not some evil mastermind sitting in a chair, rubbing his hands together, waiting to get his paycheck. It may be another transaction for me, but you're helping somebody with the biggest financial decision of their life. And I take that to a great deal and make sure everyone's taken care of properly.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that. Make sure you put your information in chat box. Anybody else at the table?
You already put me out there.
I know. You know, I got to hear your voice, girl. Come on.
Hi, my name is Tasha. I am a fitness professional. I don't claim to be a trainer.
I do not have that actual certification yet. However, I am a fitness professional. I can teach anything and everything on a gym
Yeah.
schedule, so long as I don't have to be quiet, with the exception of chair yoga, because old people are not about to be quiet.
Okay, okay.
How can I help this cooperative? What are your health and fitness goals? A lot of times, and during the pandemic, we saw there was a lot of talk about people with their anxiety, people with their various addictions, and people who suffer from depression. And the one thing I love is to be a community of people, and so that's why I stay more in the group exercise world, because the bringing together of people and their energies and working towards a common goal of crushing the workout or just feeling better for, that 30-minute time zone while we're working out. That's what I want.
I love it. Awesome. And you know what? And we all, right? We all need that fitness support. So I was talking about consciously fit and focused earlier, right? We need that because so many of us became sedentary because of COVID. We were quarantined to our homes and we couldn't go to the gym, and I was uncomfortable walking around the block. Like I didn't even know what was happening, right? So people do need to come back out, and, we're social beings. And so when we don't have that connection, when we can't go out and talk to people and mingle and work out and do all those things, we do get anxiety and depression. And so it's good that you're bringing people back out and getting them out into the sunshine and the fresh air. So thank you for doing that. Debbie, I saw your hand go up.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. Can they hear me?
Can you hear Debbie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am a financial services professional partnered with New York Life, and I like to say I'm in the business of protection. So I protect individuals, families, businesses from the financial devastation that comes with an unexpected death or a long-term care event or inability to continue your income in case of a sudden illness or disease or chronic condition. So protection to keep you in your home, and also tax advantage planning for a child's education, future home ownership, and retirement.
All right. Did you all get all of that?
Yes.
I know, right?
Nice.
Nice. Awesome. All right. And so anybody else online, and it could be through your, your community outreach that you do, your volunteerism. Belinda, I know you volunteer through your church, through the ministry. Anybody
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, good deal. So I think we've belabored that. If you want to share anything more, feel free to put it in the chat. And then also, I'm open to suggestions. Like, I want to know what you want to know. If you have questions about a certain thing, Rodrigo and I, we were talking about, the bus service out here. That's like really important, so that's a great topic. So if there's something that you want to hear more about, put it in the chat box and let's talk about it, right? And bring your friends. Let's all get together and and have a conversation. All right, so that was the home buying process. I want to jump into a quick market update. So that's all the fluff and beautiful part about the process, but what's happening in the market. So these are the statistics as for the month of February. How staggering, right? The median price was $450,000, and that is up $15,000 from the month before, from January. So Gary, when you were talking about, sellers asking for more, they're asking for more, right? The demand for housing is very high and the supply is very low. So you have a lot of competition out here in the market. For the number of units sold, and that's just for single family homes, it was a little bit over 2,500. What was left at the end of the month was a little bit over 1,700 homes. Looking at those numbers, I like to monitor the absorption rate, which lets us know how fast properties are being absorbed in the market. And anything over 20% is considered a seller's market. We're right now trending at 144%. That's how deep we are into a seller's market. So when people start talking about the bubble bursting, yeah, it's gonna burst, like things are gonna stabilize. But it's not gonna be like what we saw back in the day. But that median price of $450,000 gives you an average estimated mortgage of about $2,100 a month. And so my thought is that if you are, paying $2,100 a month, which people are, like this is Las Vegas, right? People are paying over $2,100 a month. If you're paying that much for rent, why? I want to talk about it. Like, I really want to know. Sometimes it is a temporary situation that, why we're renting, but sometimes it's not. Is it just because we don't know the process? We have a few scars and blemishes on our credit that we need to clear up to get on the path, whatever it is, let's talk about it. Now, the condo and townhome market is a different market. So this report actually separates the two, but it's still all single family homes. So that market is a little bit different. The number of units sold was 669. And the number of homes that was left at the end of the month was 316. And so that absorption rate is a little bit over 200%, right? So those homes are flying, right? They're going off the market. So in a seller's market, the demand for housing exceeds the supply. So we got more buyers out here shopping than we have enough inventory. When the inventory is down, the prices, they keep going up. When there's no inventory, it just keeps going up, 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 up. And so in this market and with the high competition, we're likely to see multiple offers, which is why I said you're not going to see counter offers too likely. And it limits your ability to negotiate. So it's important that you come into the process or come into making your offer the highest and best, from the onset. I do help with new construction. So it's pretty much a similar situation with new construction. You still have to get on the waiting list. Their inventory is low as well. They're doing lotteries for some of these properties. And then you don't get locked into a price in most cases until you actually sign the contract, which could be months out. Okay. So that price could change. And then this was a snapshot from January. So if you were on the call last month, you know that we had some technical issues with the slide. And so I just wanted to double back and show you what the numbers were last month. And so you can see that difference, that $15,000 jump just for the single family homes from last month. So, and then people, you may be thinking, well, why would I buy a house right now? Well, your rents are probably going up too, right? Because they can. Landlords can raise rents. Why not? Right? And you're probably starting to think, well, why am I paying this high rent and you won't even fix my drip and faucet when I could just go buy my own house? So that's why you should be looking to buy. And plus interest rates are still fairly decent where you can still borrow money at a good rate. Okay. And so Las Vegas is growing by leaps and bounds. People are attracted to Las Vegas because there's no state tax. And then this is Vegas. Hello. It's Vegas. So we are seeing on average 139 new residents per day. And I have a few people on here, Jessica, she came from someplace else, and Linda, she's coming from someplace else. And so they're going to add to those numbers, right? 139 new residents per day, which breaks down to about 5.8 people per hour. That's how fast we are growing. And then I just lost my darn mouse. Okay, there we go. All right, and then where are they coming from? Anybody want to take a guess? Don't look.
Most of them from California.
Almost 50%.
I'm joking. I know.
Who's here from California? Not in this room. Okay. Seattle. Okay. We got New York. I know you're from Vegas. She's from Memphis. Where are you guys from on the call? Kevin, where are you from?
Florida.
Mary?
Chicago.
Linda, Chicago.
I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. All right. See, my people.
I came from
I came from California, but everybody else just followed me.
Who had the pack? All right, so blame Jessica, guys.
I tried to leave them over there, but they found me.
I love it. So you found the fountain of happiness out here in Las Vegas, you know, all this sunshine, lower cost of living. And yeah, and everybody wanted a piece of that pie too. So I can understand that. All right, and then we also have a few, we're also making the list for retirees coming out here. So we have 2 top cities in Nevada that retirees are attracted to, Henderson and Paradise, right? And so, those are some other things that makes Nevada attractive. All right. So with that being said, that is my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can still ask your questions. We're going to do the raffle real quick. And so Linda, can you pull a name from the box? Now, as I said at the onset, if you are not in Nevada, then you will receive a gift card. But if you are here in person or, locally, then you get to leave with an actual gift. All right, let me see. Just as much. Oh, thank you. Where's the name? And then you have to be present to win. Oh, look at that. How about that, Miss Jessica?
Want something?
Jessica Wilson.
Hey, what I do?
All right. So you won the raffle.
Yay.
And Jessica. Oh, my presentation. Darn it. This thing. Okay. Oh, let me use this camera over here. Oh, that one went out too. Good Lord. All right, guys. Well, Jessica, you have a nice gift here.
It says trifle, but I see banana pudding going in that bowl. So just make sure you make that banana pudding.
Oh, I got the camera back up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got the camera back up. Here it is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is a trifle bowl.
pretty.
Yes. So Tasha said she banana pudding going in here. So you have to give us a call.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, awesome. So I do encourage you all to connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I posted my first YouTube video. The last cooperative was posted just yesterday, actually, because I am totally not into YouTube, but we're going to do this, flaws and all, right? So this one will be on there as well. If you would like to have an opportunity to speak at the cooperative, please reach out to me separately and let's talk about it. All right. Thank you all for your time today. And I will see you at the next one on April 16th. We're going to be talking about credit repair.
Ooh, yes.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. So I'll see you all next month. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.